Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, family violence support services say they're at breaking point as demand soars for accommodation. Unaffordability and a lack of stock in the housing market is continuing to plague the state, making it increasingly difficult for those fleeing dangerous situations.
These 26 new social homes in ROSETTA are just weeks away from being ready to welcome tenants.
With a great view and a great site close to facilities.
It's part of the federal government's $30 million pledge to build 100 new social housing properties in Greater Hobart by mid-next year, a small dent in a big housing dilemma.
I think there is a pressure point which is at the moment really quite tricky, and unfortunately supply is not a quick fix.
Lack of supply coupled with unaffordability putting added stress on crisis support services.
Our demand for service is about 50% up on what it was this time last year.
The Women's Legal Service says it's hearing more and more cases of women couch surfing.
Many of our clients come in and don't have stable housing, so that means that they're staying with family and friends, which puts a lot of pressure on other family relationships.
The services that we work in closely each and every day are all telling us they're at crisis point. They really are at breaking point. It's not an exaggeration. This is not a new issue. It's been going on for a really long time, and we just need everybody to step up and work in together to fix it.
The state government maintains it's doing what it can to increase stock.
The simple fact is that more people are calling Tasmania home. That's put significant pressure on housing stock, and the best way to meet the increasing demand for housing is to boost supply. That's exactly what we're doing.
It's making it really difficult for Tasmanians to get a roof over their head, to get into the housing market. That great, dream of Tasmanians to own your own home is getting far away under this government.
LETITIA Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
As wild weather encroaches on parts of Tasmania, emergency services are responding to a boating incident on the Tamar River. For more on this evolving situation, we're joined by reporter Josh Duggan at Deviot. Josh, what happened there this afternoon?
Kim, police remain on the scene here after a boat broke loose from its moorings with around 75 km/h winds recorded. Police say 2 people from the shore have reportedly entered the water in a small boat in an attempt to secure that lost vessel. Medical assistance was provided to those involved. We don't yet know what condition they're in or if they've retrieved the lost boat. The wet and windy weather rocking eastern Tasmania is set to continue over the coming days. Damaging winds have lashed the state with a severe weather warning for gusts of over 90 kilometres an hour. Meanwhile, steady rain is set to continue.
Flood watch current at the moment, right down all eastern parts of Tasmania, all eastern catchments, with moderate or minor flooding expected to develop about eastern catchments during Thursday afternoon.
Kim, the worst of the wet weather is still yet to come. It's particularly going to rain on Thursday afternoon and Friday morning.
Okay, thank you very much, Josh. And also there's quite a few 2,000 homes without power across the north and northwest this evening, so check Tas Networks for information there. Well, the state government has agreed to sell land to Calvary Health for a private hospital co-located near the LGH. Before the election, the Liberal Party promised to sign an MOU to sell the Franklin Street site to Calvary within 30 days of forming government. A co-located private hospital, a key point of the LGH master plan, released a fortnight ago. After a long wait, the new name of an iconic Tasmanian venue has been revealed. No longer the DINEEN Entertainment Centre, the deck will now be known as the MyState Bank Arena, the Tasmanian Bank signing on for a 3-year naming rights deal.
It's the end of an era. After 32 years, the DINEEN Entertainment Centre is no more. Built in 1989, it's hosted major events over the years, acting as the home for the Hobart Devils. Now preparing to welcome the Tasmania Jack Jumpers, and its new name has officially been revealed, a big-ticket item for MyState Bank.
To have our brand name spoken about throughout Australia. Whenever the Jack Jumpers playing here, they'll be playing in MyState Bank Arena.
The 3-year naming rights deal announced in style on the River Derwent. Not all smooth sailing, with the weather refusing to play ball.
And many of you probably wouldn't. I hope they're building the stadium better than that.
working around the clock to have the MyState Bank Arena ready for games in October, and there are already 55 days of events booked in for next year.
It's going to be a venue that all Tasmanians should be proud of and want to go to and want to see concerts and basketball and netball and tennis or whatever it might be.
After being known as the Derwent Entertainment Centre for more than 30 years, the new name might take some getting used to, but stakeholders are feeling confident it won't take too long to catch on.
I have no trouble saying MyState Bank Arena.
It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Focus is still firmly on player signings, with free agency quickly approaching at the start of July.
In fact, just before coming here, I was on the phone to 2 or 3 US agents. It's going to be a frenzy. The finals start this week, as everyone would see in the NBL. We've got our eye on the fire for probably 8 or 9 players at the minute.
Meg Sides, 7 Tasmania News.
Work is progressing to remove the old Scamander Bridge on the east coast, with the first of 3 steel spans coming down. The bridge was built in the mid-1930s and was used by vehicles until the replacement one was constructed in 1988. It has remained a popular spot for locals and tourists to use for walking, cycling and fishing, but in 2017 the community voted to have it demolished. The Department of State Growth says works are expected to be finished by early next month. All materials, including the steel, will be recycled. Late for work, late for school, or just not where they need to be. That's a growing problem for drivers battling Hobart's traffic. The state government insists it has solutions to solve the slow crawl into the city, but Labor says the plan is filled with potholes.
10 minutes to 9 on the southern outlet this morning. A minor crash has been cleared, but the traffic is far from it.
It is getting worse. Yeah, we're a really fast-growing municipality. We've got lots of people moving here, but a large portion of our population works outside of Kingborough.
That will likely mean more cars on the road. Buses are already being pushed as a way to break the bottlenecks. 2 park and ride sites have been promised.
If we can get more people onto buses, we have less vehicles and less congestion on the roads.
Other projects Greater Hobart is waiting for: a trial ferry service on the Derwent and how the Northern Rail corridor will eventually be used.
We look forward to having further to say about activating more public transport on the disused rail corridor. That's going to be a key measure for us.
They've delayed the light rail project, they've delayed the Derwent ferries, we still don't have an underground bus mall, and the best that they can do around traffic congestion is deploy tow trucks.
Meanwhile, East Coasters are bracing for weeks of headaches as the Tasman Highway stays shut for repairs. But there's concern forecast heavy rain could damage the replacement route on the YVETTE road.
I am concerned about the YVETTE road. That's why we've constantly had upgrades occurring there. We have a grader and gravel piles on standby.
A rocky road ahead for a community cut off. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, young Tasmanians are being encouraged to consider a future in the energy sector ahead of significant investment in renewables. One group of high school students has been given a look inside the industry thanks to a Hydro Tasmania partnership.
Hoping it may spark an interest in energy, these students are being given a tour of the Trevelyan Power Station.
The main thing was the big magnets on the turbine they're currently doing maintenance on. It was actually pretty cool to see what actually went into it.
Some already have dreams of working in the sector.
Looking towards the future and what we may be able to help, especially in renewable energy, help the planet and the pathways that we can go with that.
The pivotal thing today is they're actually able to mix with a whole range of our operators and staff who will share their own career journeys.
The tour is facilitated by the Beacon Foundation. They work to help students find a pathway into industry.
What we know is that the work that we invest in really increases the career readiness of young people.
Beacon are expanding a partnership with Hydro Tasmania. Workshops and a career mentorship program to be made available.
We can see that here today by the level of the questions, the enthusiasm and the focus of these young people, that these experiences really crystallise that focus and hopefully lead to a career in the sector.
The energy sector is set to see a growth in employment over the coming years, with several major projects like Marinus slated for the state. Tas Networks is hoping that partnerships like this one can see more young people funnelled into the industry.
We will need more engineers, we will need more scientists, we will need more tradespeople, we'll need people involved in civil construction.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
A year after COVID recovery grants were handed out to struggling artists, the end products are finally on show. The stimulus program delivered more than $12 million to help the sector survive. Putting the funding to good use, the Van Diemen's Band was able to produce the Song of the Birds music video.
Post-March, we were wondering what we could actually be producing, and for us as mostly live performance producers, we just had enough. Literally, we were twiddling our thumbs.
Another recipient, furniture designer Duncan Meerding, who used the support to create lighting from Tasmanian timber. A welcome sign in Launceston has been unveiled to honour the heritage of a historical suburb. The once thriving Franklin village was named after Sir John Franklin, who was Lieutenant Governor of Van Diemen's Land in the early 1800s. It has been a vision for this group of volunteers for more than a decade.
We wanted to bring back the identity because it was an important village in its own right back in the 1800s, and it lost its identity though when postcodes came into existence in 1967, so it was absorbed into the suburb Youngtown.
This is where they used to stop coming through from Launceston on their way to Hobart, so you can imagine, it doesn't seem like far now, but in those days on a horse and with a cart at the back, I mean, it would have been a slow journey.
Committee hopes to erect another sign further south at Kerry Lodge Bridge in the future.
We'll start with basketball, and this weekend's bye has come at a good time for Tasmania's NBL1 clubs, as upcoming games against Victorian teams remain up in the air. But a Tornadoes player is chasing her dreams overseas after being snapped up by a US college. America awaits for Penguin Sian Haywood, the guard heading to a college competition.
She'll do strength and conditioning, she'll be with her team.
And she'll have exposure in basketball's heartland, bouncing to Massachusetts, the game's birthplace, to play for Stonehill Eastern.
She's a great scorer and she's working really hard on her defence, and she's got a good IQ, so really excited to see where she ends up.
The Tornadoes ended up walking over the Chargers by 48 points on the weekend, while Tad Duffelmeyer of the Cairns Taipans wasn't able to change the game for Hobart's men's side against the Thunder, but Anthony Stewart believes he'll be a match winner once he finds his feet.
He showed in that first half the class he is. I think he obviously got caught out a little bit, not understanding the system when the heat came on, and that's not his fault. We've just got to get on the training track.
The Northwest is now top of the table thanks to its explosive second half against the Chargers. The coach's message was simply to stop fouling.
Put Hobart to the line heaps in the first half, so we had to fix that, and they adjusted, which was good. They adjusted to the way the refs were calling it, but I just said stick with our stuff and just keep following the process, which has worked for us all season.
Tasmania's teams are due for Victorian road trips in the round following the bye, but as we all know, the ball on that one is in the government's court. Hobart Hurricanes big hitter Ben McDermott is cutting short his stint in the UK after being called up for the National White Ball Tour of the Caribbean and Bangladesh. He's coming home early to complete his 2 weeks quarantine in time for the team's departure later this month. Tasmanian Nathan Ellis has also been added to the bloated 29-man squad, which already includes Matthew Wade, Riley Meredith and Darcy Short, while former Tasmanian Tiger Michael Divenuto has also been called up for the tour as an assistant coach. Launceston Blues players make up nearly half of the NTFA's women's squad for upcoming representative games. Players had a feel for the league's black and white Guernsey today. They'll be the ones who decide on a captain rather than the coach.
The players are the ones that follow their captain, and I think, it's easy for us as coaches to kind of look at, who shows leadership potential, but we're not the ones that are out there training with the group and knowing who the group respects.
The depth of talent in the north, it's huge, so I'm really excited to see what we can bring over the next 2 weeks.
The NTFAW heads to Penguin to play at the Northwest on Monday before heading to North Hobart Oval to face the SFLW the following weekend. And a night for Derwent in Premier League hockey, with both sides recording wins. The men hit the back of the net within the first 2 minutes of play. The final goal came with a stroke of luck as the ball fell into Paul Wanker's hands after coming off the back of the goalkeeper. The women's side won 2-0, meaning the pair is now locked on 6 wins each and looking likely to face off in the first week of finals.
Good evening. 16 was the state's top today across Burnie and Devonport, Launceston 14 and 10 in Hobart. 14 across Low Head and St Helens, Strahan 12 and 15 in Flinders Island. On the close-up shows extensive cloud over Tasmania. Further out, several lows are seen over Victoria and New South Wales, while a front band lies to the west of WA. Tomorrow high is centred over Central Australia with another high southeast of Tasmania. Southeasterly winds tomorrow 15 to 25 knots about the south and reaching 40 knots about the north. Swells up to 2.5 metres in the west and south and up to 4 metres in the east. A severe weather warning for damaging winds is current for parts of the central north, northeast, east coast and central plateau districts. A gale warning for northwestern, northern and northeastern coastal waters and a strong wind warning for central western and lower eastern coastal waters. A flood watch warning is also current for river basins in the east of the state. A warning to sheep graziers for parts of the Furneaux Island, the northeast and eastern forecast districts, and a road weather alert for the Midlands and eastern forecast districts. Tomorrow's forecast now 13 and rain right across Hobart, Cygnet and New Norfolk. In the north, Launceston windy with showers increasing, 16 in Devonport, Campbelltown rain. A possible late shower across Burnie and Smithton tomorrow, Strahan mostly sunny. 15 about St Helens and Swansea and Fingal expecting rain and possible heavy falls. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast, Friday showers about the east, south, east and central areas. Saturday south to southeasterly winds across the state and Sunday showers about the west, south and east. Capital cities 22 and showers in Perth tomorrow. Adelaide partly cloudy and sunny in Brisbane. And currently Hobart cloudy and 8, Launceston 11, Devonport partly cloudy and 13 and some dangerous weather on the state way in the state. Please stay safe, secure loose items and drive to conditions. Kim.
And that's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Stay safe. Good night.